I'm making this video to save your hard-earned cash, because you probably already know by now the supplements that actually work in terms of exercise and sports performance are caffeine, creatine, and whey protein. But we rarely talk about the supplements that you can buy and that are marketed extensively that actually have pretty much no scientific backing. So in this video, we've got 3 supplements that are commonly purchased and that you will see on any sports supplement website, but that when you actually look at the science, there's either very good evidence to say that they don't work, or we have not much evidence at all. First up, we have ZMA. So this is zinc magnesium asparate. Now this supplement is made up of 3 components, so it's a combination of zinc, magnesium asparate, and vitamin B6. And I think most people that buy this supplement are using it for sleep benefits. So where do we start with the research on this? So way back in the year 2000, there was a paper that found an increase in testosterone in American footballers who were taking ZMA for 8 weeks, and that was compared with a placebo. However, when you look a bit closer into that study, you might notice that the company who funded it are the company who hold the registered trademark for the original ZMA formulation, which, okay, may not be a huge issue if we then have other studies that find a positive effect or a similar thing. Most recently, we had one done this year in 2024, and this was looking at 16 trained weightlifters. They were in their 20s, and for 2 nights in a row, they were asked to go to bed at 2:30 in the morning and wake up at 6:30 in the morning. So just 4 hours of sleep in total. And what they did was they randomly assigned some participants to have ZMA capsules, and some participants had placebo capsules. They then did a weightlifting session after the 2 days of sleep deprivation, and there was absolutely no difference in how fatigued these weightlifters felt during their session, nor did it affect how much they were actually able to lift, how well they performed in the sessions. Now at this point you may say, well, that's all well and good, George, you know, the exercise performance benefits are uncertain. What about the sleep effects? That's why I take ZMA. Well, to be honest, the research on this is just as unclear. The most recent review of the literature on magnesium supplementation for sleep found that even in those with sleep disorders, there was an uncertain relationship between supplementing with magnesium and improving sleep quality or length. However, that same scientific paper did find an association between magnesium status and sleep quality. So this supports the idea that magnesium supplementation might be beneficial, but only if you are deficient, which, by the way, is only the case for about 5 to 8% of the total population. So that's why ZMA is first on the list of the least scientific backed supplements. Okay, next up we have glutamine, or L-glutamine. Now this is an amino acid. It's a non-essential amino acid, which means your body makes it, but you can also get it from food. Now I think what people think glutamine is doing is improving your recovery. And luckily for us, we have a pretty big review that was done in 2018, and they found that glutamine supplementation in athletes has no effect on the immune system, aerobic performance, and general body composition, so the amount of muscle and fat you have. However, we do have a few studies that have shown a positive effect on things like muscle soreness and performance. For example, there was this one study here where they took a professional basketball team, and this was during a very busy competition and training period. And they had people take either 6 grams a day of glutamine or a placebo powder for 20 days. Now, at the end of the 20 days, the group taking the glutamine, well, they had slightly lower levels of certain blood biomarkers that we would link to muscle damage. However, again, this is in a very intense, specific scenario. This is one sport, and it might not translate to things like bodybuilding. You know, for most people doing regular resistance exercise, we have actually very few, if any, studies to show us that there might be an effect of taking glutamine. And then finally, we have beta-alanine. Now, this is going to be quite a controversial one because I think a lot of people quite like taking beta-alanine. Now, there are a few reasons why beta-alanine is doing nothing for your weight training. And number one is about the way it works in the body. We know that supplementing with beta-alanine pretty reliably increases our muscle carnosine content. And carnosine plays an important role in buffering some of these metabolites that we accumulate during exercise, and also in exercise-induced acidosis. Now, because that is what the effect is on a cellular level, beta-alanine supplementation is probably most useful in activities that are limited or restricted by those metabolites, which pretty much immediately rules out any activity that is less than 60 seconds. But what about weight training that lasts longer than 60 seconds per set? Well, it could potentially be helpful. So for example, studies like this one where they had participants do 5 sets of 30 maximal repetitions on a leg extension machine. Now, this is nothing like your normal leg extension set that you would do when you're at the gym. This is on a very specific machine that is often based in an exercise lab, where there is an actual motor attached to this machine, and it controls the pace at which you're extending your leg, meaning you're just constantly maxing out on every rep for 30 repetitions times 5. So this is an outrageously fatiguing scenario that most people would have horrendous DOMs for several days afterwards. And they saw that in the people who were taking beta-alanine, their 4th and 5th set of the 5 sets was slightly better. So they didn't see anything between sets 1 and 3, but when it got to the most fatiguing repetitions, those taking beta-alanine were able to hold their leg strength to a greater degree. But they only saw this difference after... And this brings me on to how beta-alanine is often taken. Now, because beta-alanine gives you this paresthesia effect, or this tingling feeling immediately after taking it, people therefore might think that it is working straight away and that it's going to have an immediate effect. However, it is pretty much recognized now that beta-alanine has no effect unless you build it up in your system over approximately 4 weeks. So why have I put beta-alanine on this list? Well, basically, it seems as though you need to take beta-alanine for 4 weeks, 4 to 6 grams per day consistently, and after that you will probably get a very small increase in the time it takes for you to fatigue in certain maximum anaerobic exercise bouts. So great examples of this are things like sprinting or cycling. But other than that, we don't really have any evidence to say that it's going to help your resistance training performance. So hopefully this video has been useful in saving you some money and realizing the supplements that are worth buying versus the ones that are really probably not. So thanks very much for watching, everyone, and as always, I will see you soon in another video.